Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to this episode of Wisdom Entrepreneurs. This month we talk about how mental clarity is available to us in any moment. We were honoured to have guest speaker Jonny Benjamin MBE, whose life story has been turned into a book, a documentary and a charity for helping young people. What I loved about this episode was that we could really see how human connection is more important than any analysis or diagnosis or other therapies that come into play. It's all about the love and the connection and seeing people as human beings and the essence of life, rather than as somebody that needs fixing or some issue or some problem that needs solving. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to know what your light bulb moment was. Let us know in the comments below. And if you'd like to sign up for future Wisdom Entrepreneurs, they are on the third Monday of every month. They're totally free and we would love to welcome you into the conversation. Enjoy, lots of love.
Okay, welcome everybody. Tonight we've got Jonny Benjamin MBE. I'd like to share with you a little brief history about Jonny and then open up the floor for him to talk. At the age of around 20, Jonny found himself on a London bridge about to attempt suicide. Age 20, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar. He spent some time in hospital, and on coming out after some time, he launched a campaign called Find Mike to find the person who stopped and saved his life on that day. He went on to make a documentary called The Stranger on the Bridge, which I'd recommend watching. There is sadness, but there is a lot of beauty around it and a really good message in that documentary. He speaks publicly to break the stigma around mental health and suicide. He has a charity called Beyond and also a program called Think Well. He has written a couple of books, one called Pill After Pill, poetry that he wrote mostly when he was in hospital, and another one called The Book of Hope. So welcome, Jonny. As I said, I'd like to open the space for you to talk whatever you want to talk about, whether it be your past or where you are now. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction. I thought maybe you could start at the beginning because it's a good place to start. So for me, my parents took me to a child psychologist when I was around sort of 5. So we knew that there was something kind of there from an early age. So I was having what we call like night terrors, where things would come to life at night, like, you know, really sort of dark, difficult things would come to life. So I stopped sleeping properly, and yeah, so I ended up going to see this child psychologist. I don't remember much of our sessions really, but it wasn't talked about when I was growing up. It was kind of the elephant in the room. And so for me as well, I come from oh, hi Lorraine. So yeah, I come from a Jewish family, and yeah, there was a lot of stigma in I went to a Jewish school, was, you know, surrounded by this Jewish community, and yeah, a lot of stigma, and we didn't talk about mental health at all growing up. I just felt different. I knew I felt different, and I didn't fit in really in school. Yeah, just I don't know, just felt really different all the way through school. I think for me though, things got really difficult when I got to sort of my teenage years. So particularly around my mid-teens, I started to suffer from what I now know is depression. But I obviously didn't know it back then. I just had these constant low moods, and didn't understand why. I was just feeling like so low all the time, and tearful, and yeah, it didn't make sense. I tried to just push it away. I tried to cover it up because I was embarrassed and I was ashamed. But things just got more and more difficult. And when I was 17, I went to my doctor in secret. I didn't want anyone else to know, but I went to my doctor, and my doctor referred me to CAMS. So I'm sure many people are familiar with CAMS, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service. And then, unfortunately, there was a long waiting list, as there is today.
There is.
Yeah. And so I gave up waiting, and I just said to myself, well, I just got to get on with it somehow. So as well, for me, towards my late teens, particularly, paranoia became an increasing problem. I believed that I was being watched. I believed that the cameras were watching me. I thought I was kind of part of this TV show, and I don't know. My imagination sort of. I'll just close my email. Sorry. My imagination sort of just ran wild. And during part of my teens as well, I had this. I had this kind of thing that I had to do. I had to do certain rituals. So I'd have to say certain Jewish prayers, otherwise bad things would happen. And it got more and more. I had to do more and more things as time went on. I'd have to touch things in certain ways, or say things in certain ways, move in certain patterns, and if I didn't, then bad things would happen. All of this though was going on. I was covering it all up. I didn't communicate to anyone what was going on, and it was really hard. And I guess for me, the breaking point was at the age of 20, when I had a psychotic episode where I felt like I was being possessed. It felt like there was something inside of me possessing me. And I ended up on the streets, screaming and shouting, and I couldn't control what was going on. It was horrible. Just words were coming out of my mouth that weren't my own. They were, yeah. Anyway, it was at that point that I got put into a psychiatric hospital. I got this diagnosis of what they called schizoaffective disorder. So yeah, this combination of schizophrenia and bipolar. And that was really tough. Yeah, that was really tough. I got worse in the hospital that I was in. I spent a month in this psychiatric hospital before I ran away. Just gave up. There was no future. There was nothing to live for. There was nothing. It was just really bleak, and I believed I was going to be a burden on everyone around me for the rest of my life. And so yeah, there was only one way to end everything. So I ran away from the psychiatric hospital, and as you heard, I ended up on the edge of a bridge. But fortunately for me, there was this stranger that came along and stood next to me and started to talk to me, and we just had this sort of interaction that shifted things for me in my head. He was just so calm and so sort of open and kind, and it was different to everything that had happened to me in the hospital. In the hospital, I was in the what they called the suicide ward, where someone sits and watches you 24/7. but they don't talk. They just sit and they watch. But this guy was just, he wanted me to talk, and he wanted to listen, and it was really powerful, that interaction that we had on the bridge. I think for me, the key thing was how he listened, but also things he said. He kept saying to me that, don't be embarrassed, you don't have to be embarrassed. And I needed to hear that, because I can't put into words how embarrassed and, you know, ashamed I was about, you know, everything in my head and my diagnosis. So I was also struggling with my sexuality as well. That was a massive issue for me, being Jewish, and yeah, just couldn't deal with it. But for this guy to just, you know, keep saying to me, don't be embarrassed, you don't need to be embarrassed, you know, I don't know, it helped to, yeah, change something in me. But I think really the key, he kept saying to me, mate, you'll be all right, you'll be fine, you'll get better. And no one was saying that to me in the hospital. And yeah, again, I think that was really key for me to hear. I needed to hear that from someone. And eventually he convinced me to come off the edge and to go for a coffee. And I wanted to, because I had this connection with someone I'd never had before, and I felt safe, and I definitely didn't feel any judgment. And so I wanted to carry on. But someone had called the police. Obviously, they saw this, and the police came. And as soon as I got off the edge, the police jumped in, and it got a bit messy. I panicked. I was restrained and handcuffed, and I was taken away. And that was the last that I saw of that stranger. For that moment, I was taken away. I was sectioned, and then I was taken back to hospital. And I guess that's when things started to get better, very slowly. But I think from this conversation with this guy, and him, I don't know, him being so he was so positive, him being so positive, I think it definitely changed something in me. And I guess that was the start of a long road to recovery. And maybe at that point, before I go on to the next sort of section, I wonder if anyone's got any thoughts or questions, or maybe not, but just wanted to open it up maybe there.
Well, I'm happy for you to continue and to open up questions after, but I don't know how other people feel. If you're happy to continue with your story, and then people can dip in and out if you're comfortable with that. Jonny.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Sure.
I just wanted to acknowledge you, Jonny, actually, and just say, you know, thank you for coming and sharing that incredible story, and how you see that someone seeing something in you help that shift happen. I really, really appreciated you saying that. No,
thank you. I'm so lucky. Because, you know, you know, it's like sliding doors, sort of, you know. He could have missed his train, and, you know, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm so lucky. Yeah, I feel very lucky. Very lucky. And then obviously the next part of the story is kind of makes it even more sort of poignant. So I guess I'll move on maybe to the next part so you can hear what happened. But yeah, long journey. So I'd say 6 years of well, firstly, I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want therapy. I didn't want medication. I took myself off my meds and became unwell again. And it was just a weird time of, I felt really lost, and couldn't get a job, couldn't do much to be honest, in those 6 years, apart from just keep moving. But things started to change in my mid-20s. I started to make videos, started to make films on YouTube, as a way of sort of communicating everything that going on. And I don't know why, it just was easier for me talking to my camera on my phone than, you know, I tried CBT, you know, I got my 6 sessions of CBT, but I just couldn't do it. Yeah. But there was something different talking to the camera, putting these films on YouTube, and people started to watch them and like comment. And
yeah, they did. I've watched some of them. You shared, and I think people connected, and I think people needed that at the time.
well, yeah, I mean, I was just amazed at how many people came forward saying I've got schizoaffective disorder as well. I mean, yeah, like unbelievable. I mean, still today people message me all the time, you know. It's yeah. But that helped me to recover, I think, because I realized I wasn't alone, and you know, I got to communicate with other people that were going through similar things. And I think that, yeah, it helped me to open up, helped me to sort of get confidence to talk. And then 6 years, yeah, 6 years on, um I started to I think through the videos and me communicating with people, I started to feel human again. And because I hadn't felt like human for such a long time. And when I felt human again, I was ready to, yeah, enter the world and start working properly. I started working for Rethink, who are, I'm sure many of you know, Rethink mental health charity. Started to work there, and they were amazing. And I told them my story, like I'm telling you, and they said, "Oh my gosh, that guy on the bridge, you know, that's amazing." And they said, "Why don't you try and find him?" And I said, well, you know, he could be anywhere, and how are we going to find him? You know, 6 years have passed, but they said, well, why don't we launch like a social media campaign and, you know, see if we can track him down on social media. And so we did. So 6 years to the day that we met on the bridge, we launched this social media campaign, and it just sort of took off. It was weird. It just took off. People, well, we went around the world, and people started to get in touch. And the most amazing thing was that it took 2 weeks to find him, through Facebook, through the power of Facebook.
Neil
Wife,
Laybourne,
yeah,
yeah.
Neil
Yeah.
Laybourne. I got his name wrong. I thought his name was Mike.
Yes, you
So,
did, yeah.
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 So in my head, that day was, yeah, it's difficult, on the bridge. So I thought his name was Mike. Anyway, I mean, thankfully, basically his wife saw the post on Facebook and obviously told Neil, not Mike. And Neil got in touch with Rethink, and we were reunited. And that was really like, that was incredibly special to be reunited and to, you know, sit there and just talk and say thank you. And yeah, for him to see the progress that I'd made. It was really, and as you heard, the documentary is, so everything was being filmed. And yeah, we made a documentary for Channel 4 called The Stranger on the Bridge. So
Worth watching, just watching, and that moment where you meet, it's beautiful, isn't it? You know, yeah, it was lovely. Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah, it's moving. It's really moving, actually. You know, for both of us, it was really moving to sit and just chat. And then after that, he what's even more amazing is he said, well, what can I do to help? How can I get involved? Let's work together. So we started to work together. He was a personal trainer and left his world of fitness and came into the world of mental health, and we started to work together, giving talks, you know, about our story. And I don't know, like hospitals and schools and prisons and like universities, like all over. And it was amazing. But I also I started to experience relapses because I wasn't looking after my mental health. So yeah, I got ill again a few times, back into hospital, psychotic episodes. And yeah, there's been a few in the last few years. And yeah, it's, you know, it's difficult when that happens, obviously. My last one was last September. So, and that was really hard because everything in the hospital was restricted because of COVID. So yeah, that was really tough. But things are different now because I know that I have to look after my mental health. I know that I have to prioritize my well-being, and if I don't, then I get ill. And so now I take my meds. I have therapy every week. I have something called CFT, which is compassion focused therapy. So I've had a lot of CBT and mostly CBT actually. But CFT was new to me, and CFT is very much focused on compassion for self, compassion for others, and I think it's been really helpful. We've been doing it on Zoom, and it took a while to get used to, but it seems to really work. So yeah, therapy, meds, mindfulness as well is a big one for me. Took me a long time to get into mindfulness. I don't know. I found it tricky. I just couldn't. My mind just would never be still and quiet. It was too tricky. But I think persistence is the key. You know, I always say it's like going to the gym to build a physical muscle. You don't go once and then you get this muscle. You have to go again and again and again and practice and practice and practice. And so yeah, same with mindfulness. You have to constantly even like I love listening to monks talk about how they've been practicing for so many years and they still get what they call the monkey mind, you know, the mind that never stops.
Because it's totally normal.
Yeah, and it's exactly, yeah, for sure, and it's okay. I think mindfulness has been really helpful, but I think more than anything it's talking and
being listened to
and being listened to. Yeah, I'm really lucky. I've got now I've got a psychiatrist that listens, like really listens actually, and she I don't know, it's so different. We communicate really well, and you know, she, whenever I get ill, she's always got faith in me, and again, really lucky with my psychiatrist and my therapist actually. And you know, my family and my friends now are they don't always they don't always get it, and you know, sometimes it's difficult having those conversations, but they're supportive, and yeah, that makes all the difference. But I think to kind of finish off, I think my sort of big focus now is youth mental health, because you know, I just know that if I'd have got more when I was in school, I didn't get anything in school. So when I was in school, the only thing that I got, they played the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to us when we were like 15, 16, and that was like our mental health education. And that film like just put me off talking. I didn't want to talk about, you know, I saw that film and that film scared me. So yeah, so my big focus is getting into, you know, schools and colleges and well, just across sort of the youth kind of sector. So I set up a charity in 2018 called Beyond as well, and yeah, we give out grants. We give out grants to schools and to youth projects or initiatives that are doing great work with young people. And it's great. So the charity is led by a youth board. We have a youth board of around 30 people now, from like the age of 10 to early 30s, all different backgrounds and experiences, and yeah, they're amazing. They are so inspiring to work with.
And do you have people that go into schools and give talks?
Yeah, we do absolutely. We do. And we also have so earlier this year we created the first mental health festival for schools and colleges, where we basically just connected, like, you know, all young people's mental health practitioners all around the country. They gave their time for free, which was amazing. And now we're giving grants to help fund the relationship with the whether it be a mindfulness teacher or, you know, a counselor, to go into the school and, you know, carry on their work. Because as we know, like, you know, I'm not going to get started on the government or funding, but well, you know, we all know what the situation is. And so we can't sit around and wait for, you know, government or Yeah, we just can't. So we have to, yeah, we're trying to fund ourselves, which is tough because, you know, trying to raise money is always tough, especially in the current climate. But we, you know, yeah, it's an amazing team at Beyond. Like all of you, actually, a really strong team. And as I say, the youth board, just like, they really are the heart of the organization, and having them, they're just constantly inspiring, getting to work with them all the time.
For anybody who wants to see the festival, there's bits of it on your website, aren't there? For anybody who wants to see the what went on there and some of the talks, I've noticed that was on your website.
Yeah, please do go and watch. We had all sorts of different things. We had people like Dame Kelly Holmes giving a sort of mental fitness workout, and Katie Piper, she was doing a talk on like body image. A session for teenagers on mental health. We had all sorts of different things, and it's all there to check out, and all our resources are there if anyone wants to use them in any schools or anything. And we'll be doing more, so keep your eyes peeled.
For myself, Jonny, my interest, as Jacqueline and the team know, is that I work in a secondary school, and my dream is to share the positive message around mental health and well-being with students. The bigger dream is with their families and staff. You know, that is my dream. I'm fortunate to be in a school where they're embracing teachings around mental health, so that's all good. People are listening to me, and it's going in the right direction. It's good. You know, I support sometimes particular students that are struggling and that are a bad place, as I was with one today, actually.
Oh, really?
But listening to what you said there, you know, your feeling of shame and fear, what changed it was being listened to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always the same. Yeah, if you're really truly listened to, I mean, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, there's this huge power in it. I think people don't realize the power in listening. It takes no qualifications, and people fear it. They're not comfortable with it, but you don't have to talk. You just have to be able to sit there and listen.
But unfortunately, you know, the way the world is going, that we have less time to listen to each other. It sounds like an excuse. Well, it isn't an excuse. But we, you know, particularly the world of online, you know, I know people that go from meetings, well, I do sometimes, like meetings to meetings to meetings to meetings on Zoom, and no one ever, you know, really, people say, how are you? But, you know, they don't really, truly, you know, properly mean it. But I do like, you know, in some like organizations, what they're doing is, instead of jumping straight onto Zoom, like they do like a call with someone, like, you know, when you meant to go for a walk with like a peer or colleague or whatever, just for 10 minutes before you start the meeting, which I really like. Or some meetings start with like a meditation to ground everyone, rather than just like jumping straight to, you know, and just like forgetting everyone's well-being. I do worry about the sort of the future and the way that we are kind of going.
I could just go on, Wendy. Go on.
Yeah. Yes, Derrick. Is that Derrick? Yeah.
Go on, Wendy. Go on. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, that you know, there is a lot of fear around mental illness, and also that word suicide, and you know, we need to get more comfortable with that, more accepting of it. I know there are at least 2 people on here tonight who were at that point of suicide, and there are certainly people on here who have family members and close ones who are suffering, have been hospitalized. Well, I'll let Derrick say. I really want to open it up for people to share and ask questions now, if you're comfortable with that, Jonny, and Derrick can go first.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Hi, Jonny.
Hey.
Such a powerful story, man. Such a powerful story, man. Yeah, and I've never been in a situation like that, but I can sort of see a resemblance in where my thinking or my thoughts would have taken me in certain directions if I didn't have certain things what drew me away from that. But if I can just draw you back to the time when the bit that I loved was when you said when you was on the bridge and then the time that the fella was talking to you. And I could see it in your face, you and your body, you got animated when you said like, he listened to me and he also said it was okay. I think that is, you see, when just to know that it's okay, no matter what you think, even no matter what you've done, just somebody outside of yourself telling you, do you know what?
Yeah.
It's okay, because we're the harsh judges on ourselves. We're the harsh critics for ourselves. So to actually hear it coming from outside that we're actually gonna be okay, and that doesn't matter. Do you know what really matters? The second that you believe that in yourself, that you're gonna be okay. And the 2 points what you said that drew me that drew together like a magnet was when you was talking about mindfulness, and you don't have to learn mindfulness. When that guy told you it was okay, you tuned into your mindfulness in an instant, straight away. No practice, no techniques, no nothing. You felt, and I know you could, where you was, but you could feel that feeling again when you was on the bridge and you tuned into that mindfulness.
Yeah.
That is the area where all good things come out of that. All good things come out of that. And just to try to get back to that, I know that it's coming from within us. That's what we do. That's what, when you was talking, that's sort of what we do, Jonny. Yeah, we love that. But just to point people that back to that feeling, and it's coming from within, because it is okay. No matter, like I said, no matter what we've done, no matter what thoughts, or no matter what, no matter how it looks, no matter how deep, dark, there's always that light. And don't take a technique to get there. It just takes to open up to see that you're going to see that light. I just love that story, Jonny, man. Love that story.
Well, thank you. Thanks for what you said there. Yeah, I completely agree. Oh, it's interesting. So I'm supporting my best friend at the moment is going through a really difficult time, and you know, we went for a walk on Saturday, and I did some mindfulness with him, and because he was he's so like, I know I can see it, like, you know, when, you know, his mind is just like spiraling constantly, like negative, like, and we just sat and we did some mindfulness, and like you could just see, like, and you could just tell, like, he came back to himself, and for 10-15, and then, you know, went back to the spiraling negative, but that's the state he's in. But there was like some real calm in him for like, yeah, a period of time. And it's so powerful. And, you know, people often say to me, I can't do mindfulness, or you know, I can't be mindful. And I always say, like, because I think we have this thing of like, you've got to sit down and, like, you know, like, be at peace. But, you know, for some people, mindfulness is like running is a form of mindfulness, or, you know, whatever it is. And because people often say that to me, and I say, no, you can be mindful. People tell themselves they can't be mindful because they can't do the sitting practice thing. But yeah, I'm always trying to tell people that there's other ways to be mindful, to be connected to yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jonny. There is power in the quiet and the calm. It could just be sitting in your garden.
Yeah,
It could be looking out the window. You know, I'm looking out my window now. There's some trees. There's a sky, and you know, that's a form of mindfulness.
yeah, this is it. Absolutely. And everyone can do that.
Yeah.
I love that as well, Jonny, how you pointed to that you could seeing that horrible film when you're at school. I mean, what a shocking thing to show young people. But then having that notion of, oh, I'm not going to talk about stuff because look what's going to happen, and how you can see that felt like it would keep you safe. So it made sense that you would hold on to that in that thinking. It just made sense. And how now that you see outside of that, and you know that you're spreading this message, which is so beautiful. I really love that, because people pick up things that make sense to them in the moment, and they don't even know to challenge it. They don't know that that's what's going on for them, that, you know, other people may have watched that film and not saw that, because we all have our own separate reality, right?
Yeah.
But you saw that's what happened to you. It made sense, and it's innocently then taking on that thinking. And it's so powerful to be able to point to people to yeah, something might go off in your head, but you know, you can question that, because it is okay to talk and so on, and you can really hear in your story that okayness. Like, what keeps coming to my mind is that we have mental health as our default setting, and you're pointing to that. And then, yeah, we go off the rails. We all go off the rails. Some of it looks more extreme than others, but everybody does it. But we can all come back to our own mental health as well. So it's really, really beautiful message.
On a separate reality thing, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is my favourite film. So seeing it from a different side, because although it's sad, I see humour in it, and I see a lot of sort of poignancy. So, you know, we can all sit and watch a film and have a different thought and feeling from it. Crazy,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
One book, a few books actually that I, just from like the past few things that people have said, a few books that have helped me. One's called Finding Peace in a Frantic World. I don't know if people have read that. That book really helped me to sort of connect to myself. It's by someone called Mark Williams and Danny Penman, and it's really practical tips of how you can achieve some peace and mindfulness. And it's just small things like, you know, when you go and you have your dinner or whatever, take a different plate and take a different knife and fork. Or when you sit down, like, don't sit in your standard seat, go and sit in a different seat. When you go to the shop, don't take the same route, go a different route. And just, you know, you're opening up new pathways in the brain. And yeah, that book was really, really powerful for me. And then the other book is it's called Self-Compassion, and it's by someone called Kristin Neff. So she's like a sort of self-compassion guru in the US, and yeah, that's how I got into CFT, compassion focused therapy. That book is really, like, it's kind of, you work through the book and you see how you're treating yourself when you go through that workbook. And again, really powerful book.
Yeah, you see, that first book you said, Jonny, it sounds like that message that I put out today is where sometimes we can become like trapped and feel not free, and it's our own thoughts that are keeping us trapped. It's like what you're saying, you go into a restaurant or you go somewhere and you're trapped or locked into a routine that you think you have to do, but it's only when you free yourself from that thinking, and anything's possible, whatever you choose to pick up in the moment, whether it be the blue one, the black one, the red one, the cheese and onion ones that look blue, doesn't matter. And there's no limitations, then you're free to do whatever you want. Is when you think that you have to do a certain thing, that's when you limit yourself. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was alluding to today. But it all comes from, before everything is the thinking, before everything.
I'm still on my mind has gone to the crisps. We're talking about the crisps.
Well, Omar's got a story about that on that one, why I mentioned it.
No, I want to hear the story.
First of all, I was gonna say I appreciate your story, man. I love listening to it because I see a lot of wisdom in there. And I was gonna recommend, I was gonna ask you first, have you read The Missing Link by Sydney Banks? So the reason I suggest this book for you is because I read it when I first started to teach myself to read and write, and it's very powerful, but I short, or I'm not sure how to put it, but it's very powerful, basic and short and simple, and I feel like simplicity is key.
Yeah.
The reason I say that as well, and I draw back to when you were saying you about there it is. The Missing Link, beautiful. And yeah, when you were saying you was embarrassed, I kind of felt a bit of that, because like from a young age I was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, and I was down as disabled, and I didn't want, well, none of my friends knew. I didn't want no one to know I was receiving disability allowance. I didn't let nobody know. I was embarrassed, do you know what I mean? And when they put me on these pills, this Ritalin, I was embarrassed taking them, and it was all embarrassing to me. And it's only about 20 something years later, I realized that, well, obviously through Beyond Recovery and what we do and Mama J, and I kind of realized that that embarrassment didn't exist how I thought it existed. I thought that embarrassment was everyone else, but that embarrassment was really just me. And I've seen it for so many other things in my life now, that when I do get embarrassed, I find it funny because it dies down quick, and I don't feel, you know, that vibrating embarrassment that you feel in your head and your chest. I don't really feel that anymore. And if I do, it will last seconds. And then it's like I'm super aware that, wow, look how beautiful it is that I'm creating this. And I realized that you see, as humans, our creation is so beautiful, right? I know a lot of, like, maybe some ain't had it, but have you had that dream where you've fallen and you feel it all in your chest, and then you wake up and you're in your bed? You see that creation right there? I feel like that is showing us our true powers. Like, if we can create that in our sleep, in our beds, in our dream, and our whole body shakes, what else can we create? Because we believed in that a second ago. We was falling. Then we woke up and we was aware that we wasn't falling. But our body created that sweat, our hearts pumping, and that's the power of us humans and our creations. And when we believe that, we send ourselves into that spiral. But it's like, when I realized that, wow, I'm doing that beautiful creation thing where I just vibrate my body, it kind of slows down because I'm aware that I'm creating that and I can create something beautiful. But no, I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate you, man.
No, thank you. Yeah, wow, it's really powerful, and it's really interesting because the medication that I take makes me have really vivid dreams, like such vivid dreams, like every night, like unbelievable. So that's, yeah, and I've never really appreciated that, actually, like the fact that some of the dreams are just incredible. Yeah, never really appreciated, like, yeah, it's interesting. But what about the crisps though? I thought
I knew you know you wanted to know about the Chris, but you're not getting away from that one.
Okay,
Come on,
let me tell you,
coming in, Jonny.
Like, I can't even remember the true Chris story now, because I wrote a story as well about it, and I kind of mixed that up with my story, and I kind of don't know which one's which, if that makes sense. But the true meaning around it is that I think I was in a rush one time, and I must have grabbed the first thing I saw, which was a blue packet, and I've grabbed it, and I'm on my journey now, and I open this blue packet and I dip in it and I eat it, and it's salt and vinegar. I was so destroyed inside. I was mad, because all my life I know blue packet is cheese and onion.
Yeah.
So that day I was mad, but fast forward it a lot of years later, I realized that, wow, the way that I call it the unconscious, well, in the unconscious bias, it sits that cheese and onions blue. So when I walk in the shop in a rush and I see blue and I grab it, that's cheese and onion. But it's like being aware of that little judgment that we make just in a split second, and it's not in the front, it's in the background. It was beautiful to me, because it's like, wow. And then after that, I worked myself up, got mad. How could they do this? And I believed in it. I believed in it so much. How could they do this to me? Until I was aware that, wow, look how I judged that real quick and got in a storm about it. But that's kind of the cheese and onion in a new formula.
Beautiful, Omar, beautiful.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for bringing in the missing link, because it's an important book, a very important book. Has anybody? Oh, Pete. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Jonny. I just love listening to your story, because resonated with me so much, because I attempted suicide back in 2019.
Oh, wow.
After 25 years of drink and drug addiction. Got saved by a policeman, didn't even know he was there, but then I found the principles, which we're all in, and just realised I didn't have to listen to those thoughts in my mind anymore, listen to those voices every day, because every day was torture, every day. So yeah, having this understanding has just totally changed my life in so many different ways. So yeah, just thanks for sharing. It totally resonated with everything. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for the work that it takes so much work, doesn't it? It takes so much work, and it's not easy work, is it? But
I was going to say, I don't know really, because now having this understanding, it's so simple.
Yeah, once you get
the principles, what I've been taught is, you just don't have to listen to it. But to some people, it sounds patronising, because it's like, well, it can't be that simple. But literally, for 25 years, for 12 years, I just looked everywhere for the answer. I had AA meetings, home detoxes, absolutely everything. Nothing worked until I was told, look inside. Look inside yourself. And then when I started to do that, that's when things really shifted for me, changed. So yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, I get loads of I guess because of the work that I've done, I get a lot of messages from people that are in that same position, that decades of trying to find the answer, just constantly falling down. And I get a lot of messages as well from parents of like kids that are in that place, or siblings, or even sometimes children, like of their parents, like I'm trying to get through to my parent, or do you know what I mean? And like what you said completely about looking inside yourself, but as you said, it's so hard to communicate that to someone that without sounding patronizing, or because some people just automatically are like, no, like what, like no, that's not going to work. Or like the mindfulness, I often get people that say to me, look, I've tried everything, I've literally tried everything, like everything, nothing's helped, nothing is helping me, nothing will help me. And it's so sad when people get really stuck, don't they, in their story of I can't be helped, or I'm past that point, or my child is past that point, or I always say to people, it's never too late. Really,
that's the trouble. We're so focused on the outside helping us, we never look inside. We don't, but we're the problem. I'm creating this problem, so we never think we're going to be the answer. And I never knew that until I came across Beyond Recovery and this discovery. My life's just wow. It's amazing. My ambition for the rest of my life now is just to spread this word and try and help anyone else out there. But it is, we look outside for the influence to try and help us find the answer, when literally it is just inside. It's just having somebody like these beautiful guys here point us in that direction. And as soon as that happens and you have a shift, then that's it. Life begins. Life for me has just begun at 46 after 25 years of addiction.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Pete, for being so honest there. I just wanted to add.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Quickly. Do you know what it is, Mike? Sorry, Jonny. You know when you said you forgot the fella's name, Mike?
Yeah.
I think no, it's not even. I think that's important, because we need to draw on. He's a small part of the story. A lot of people can get caught up in him being the story, or him being a part of the story. You're well within your rights to forget his name. You're well within your rights to even forget what he looks like. But trust me, you'll never forget that feeling when he spoke to you, and that was then you looking inside. So when you're telling people to look for something, oftentimes they're looking for something, they're not going to find it. It's when it hits you and you just know that it's there. So that's a lot of what we point to. But I just like to add that, Pete, that when you're looking for something inside, you're not going to find it. But just being open, and that guy, and everyone's got their own thing. Because that guy couldn't go on a bridge and say something exactly what he said to you to somebody else, because it might not work for them. Everybody's got their own thing, what resonates with them. and he sung that, and you heard it, and that was your inside, your well-being, you looking within for your strength. And just like you said, your friend, when you draw him to his well-being, he was good for 10 minutes. Some of us are good for 10 minutes. Some of us are good for 3 years. Some of us are good for 10 seconds on and 20 minutes off. We're all at our own different levels, but we're all at a level. We're all at a level. There's nobody above anybody out there. That's why it's okay for us to be in any state at any point in time, because I could change places with you tomorrow. I know that we can change back again in an instant, in a blink of an eye. I just wanted to point you. I wanted to point you to that.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say when Jonny was talking about the child trying to open up to a parent, you know, that child comes from fear, but on the other side of it, a parent or a carer or someone around that child will also have fear in them about, you know, facing what they might hear and misunderstanding.
Christine, sorry,
Yeah.
Christine, you want to say something?
Yes, please. I was just going to say as well that Neil was someone who looked at you, not looking at someone who needed fixing. And I think that's so powerful when somebody actually looks at you and sees the real you, that and doesn't think I've got to fix this person.
Yeah. You know what was really interesting, and we talk about this a lot, he on the bridge, you know, he started to ask me questions like, what football team do you support? Or like, so he asked me where I grew up, and I grew up in northwest, sort of outside, like northwest London, and he grew up in Watford, which is not that far from me. So we had a little, like, you know, sort of moment of like, oh wow, like, yeah. But honestly, like, I'd been in that hospital for a month, and I hadn't had any human conversations. All the conversations I was having with people, you know, they'd come into my room and they'd say, Jonny, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you here? And on a scale of 1 to, and like, honestly, like, it might, but honestly, but with Neil, it was, you know, we were having a human conversation, and it was just yeah.
So resonate with that, Jonny. We work in prison, as you know, and today I've been in a female prison, and they wanted to sit outside because it's nice weather, and they've been in their, like they call them, their sheds, for 22 hours overnight, you know, like since last night at 5 o'clock or something. So we sat outside on the grass, and we just talked about the little ducks that came and sat in the middle, and, you know, how they were. And we just had a conversation as if we were on a picnic with our friends. And they got more from that than any of that measuring and checking and analysing and everything. You know, they all got calm. They all felt good. We had to laugh. You know, they gave the biscuits to the chicks. You know, it was just normal, and they felt normal, and they forgot that they were in prison, and they've got this mental diagnosis and that mental diagnosis. People forget how important that just treating someone as a normal person is, showing up and listening, seeing the health in them, asking them about the things they like. One of the girls, I was just saying, oh, well, you know, what do you like about yourself? And she started with one thing and was a bit quiet, and then she said, oh yeah, and I like this as well, and oh yeah, and you know, I'm really kind to people, I like that about myself. And she started getting really into what she likes about herself. They're not questions that are naturally asked in therapy type stuff, which has its place for sure. But yeah, love what you're pointing to there, the humanness of it and the normalness of it. Just being with someone as a human being.
And do you know, I love Mama J's. Twice he pointed to it, you know. When he first said it, he said he spoke to the guy on the bridge, and compared to the people when he just come from the hospital. When Chris just mentioned it, he went back to there again, because you know that the hospital is only looking at you with the intent of trying to fix you. You're broken, so there's no connection to be had there, because deep down you know you're not broken. You might feed into it a little bit, but you deep down. So when that guy speaks to you, and that just shows the power of connection, because when he's open to connect, and you're even in your low state, you're still open to connect. And when that connection gets made, it's only love that's born. And to feel reflecting a love that is in you, and you're sort of seeing or feeling that. And yeah, I just love that moment that you said when you met the guy on the bridge. That's got my head tonight. That's got me, because I would love to just to see that feeling or feel. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. No matter where you're standing or what you're thinking about to do, that feeling, that moment there, yeah, that is beauty. That is pure love, pure, untainted love. And that carried you off the bridge and made you move forward and got you here sitting in front of me here today, me talking to you. Yeah, beautiful. I love that. It's beautiful. Beautiful, Jonny.
Well, one of the talking about kind of self-love or self sort of compassion. So one of the things that, because you mentioned about what people today said that they liked about themselves. So something that I do actually that I find useful, I keep like a gratitude sort of log every day. Every day I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for about life, and then 3 things that I'm grateful or I like about myself, and I find that just keeping that up, it makes a difference if you keep up that journal, because it's, I find that if I don't practice these things, I can very easily go back to the sort of old ways of like Peter, like you were saying, like all in my 20s I was like, I need someone else to fix me, like I need to be in a relationship to like fix me. That was my big thing in my 20s, and then in my 30s I'm like, no, I don't need that, and so, but I can easily go back down that route if I'm not careful. I need to always be putting my well-being first, always.
I think the biggest thing I learned, Jonny, was to love myself, because for years I hated myself. I've self-harmed. I've put kitchen knives through my legs. My arms have cut to smithereens. And I never looked in the mirror and thought, I really love you. I hated myself, hence trying to end it all. So desperate and so dark. But then, as I say, when I got this understanding, everything changed. I really genuinely love myself. I know I'm a nice guy. I always thought I was, but then in the back of my mind, I was like, nah, you're horrible. Just go and have another drink. Go and do a line of coke. Go and do what you're best at. And that's always what I thought to myself. But now, no, I've got so much compassion and love for myself. I don't ever have. I don't have days where I think, oh God, I need a drink or anything like that, because of this understanding. It's changed my thought process so much. I still get shit days, don't get me wrong, when you get up in your head, but then it's recognizing that and going, okay, look, I'm in a crap place. Let's just ride the wave and it's going to pass, because it will pass. It always does. It's just knowing that you're there and going through those motions. But no, I've really, really enjoyed listening to you tonight, really. So thanks so much for everything you're doing as well.
And you as well, and you.
I have a question, Jonny. I wondered, have you?
Sorry, Mama G. Mark Marshall wanted to speak.
Oh, Mark Marshall, you go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to take precedence.
You do.
Come on, guy. Come on.
It's Mr. Marshall. It's Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall.
It just seemed like the right time. I just got from what a few of you were saying about how I wonder if there's a shift that Pete's gone through and that some of us have gone through, where Derrick said about the chap saying that you're okay, Jonny, on the bridge, that you're okay. And I wonder if for a lot of the time when we're struggling, we don't actually believe that. And so what we do believe about ourselves is the negative stuff. And then when a good thing comes along, we attribute that to someone else or something else. And that's an exception. But actually the reality is the bad stuff. and what I saw from what Pete said just then, and what I've experienced myself, is that you can get to a point where you actually believe that the good stuff is not only equally you, but more you, that you are actually really genuinely okay. And that was just where you were at the time, and that was some thoughts you were having, that you believed people were into those thoughts. But yeah, that's as eloquent as I can be about that.
That was important to share, Mark. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But I think it needs to start young. It needs to start. I think there needs to be a complete sort of change in the education system that we have. It has to start, and that's why we're trying to do the work that we do in schools. It has to start from an early age, before the self-critic sort of kind of, because some of my friends have kids, and so actually my friend that I told you is not well, he's really not well. He's got twin babies. Well, they're 2 years old, so I'm helping his wife like with the twins, and like I watch them, and they're so self what's the words assured, and they don't worry about, they're so innocent, they don't worry about what other people think of them. They say hello to everyone. Do you know what I mean? But we get to a certain age in our lives when I think that self-critic comes in, and then we do worry what everyone thinks of us, and we worry how we're going to be judged, and that and it kicks in, doesn't it? I think but if we can reach people from a young age, can make a difference.
And also you can reach them at any age to help them to understand how their mind works and their thinking, just to guide them in the right direction, away from the fear and the misunderstanding that they're experiencing.
Absolutely. I
love that you draw on Mama J. I'm just going to say something quickly. I'd love them what you drew on, Jonny, because I got this thing what I say where whenever you look at a baby and you see the innocence in them and you just see the purity in them, that is still in all of us. That is still all of us, no matter what we've done, what we've been through. That innocence is still within us all, and we're just searching, because we're lost from that point where we were, where you see them 2-year-olds. We're just trying to get home, and that where you see them is home. That's where we were. That's where we know. But that's still in all of us.
And it's still there, Derrick. It's still there, isn't it?
Yeah. Only one fault, and then it's achievable. It's achievable. Yeah, I like that. You see things you say. You're just talking about the little chip. That's wisdom. Right there, looking at them and just saying, look at them. That is perfection right there. But hold on, didn't I used to be at that perfection? Didn't I used to be there? How the hell did I end up here? Oh, I have to go through all of what I went through to get back that. No, one fault and you're back in that space, that innocent, loving space. But yeah. Well, Mama J, what did you want to say? Or did you want to reply to that?
No, I was just going to ask you, Jonny, you mentioned a couple of times about, the work that you put in to maintain your mental health and so on. And I was just going to ask you if you are getting more sensitive to when you need something, if that makes sense. So, for like, I'm a person that suffers with a lot of overwhelm sometimes. But I'm getting more sensitive to, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not taking care of myself here. I'm getting that feeling, and so I know to step back or take a walk or whatever it is that I have for my self-care in that moment. I just wondered if that was something that has occurred to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before that, I just, what was the, what were we talking about, Derrick? You were saying, so a few years ago I did something called it's called the Humen process. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. So a friend of mine did it, and she was like, you need to do the Humen process, and that it's a week-long sort of retreat, and it takes you back to like your child, like properly back to your childhood, and like kind of rewrites your childhoods like in a different sort of way. It's really interesting, and it really helped me. I think it helped me a lot with like the way I see my parents. Really changed that relationship. Actually, it's very powerful, so much of it is back to your childhood stuff. It's so powerful. So yeah, and I was going to say that, but the other thing I was going to say is, yeah, so a few months ago I bought this, it's called an acupressure mat. So you can get it on you get it in shops on Amazon. It's a mat with pressure points, like acupuncture. And so whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just go and lie on that, and it's amazing. Like, it's such a release. That when you're lying on that mat, it's like £15, I think it was. And like, the amount of times I've used it when I'm feeling overwhelmed, so like I just literally feel everything like sort of draining. And again, like mindfulness, it took a long time to get used to because the pins are really sharp, and so I couldn't, like, it was really hard to line them at first, but I gradually got, and now I know when I'm overwhelmed, I just go and lie there, and just, I'd really recommend it and it's, yeah, I'd really recommend it, actually. This acupressure mat is really powerful.
I kind of hate needles. I'm kind of scared of them, so it's
but it's not, I mean, like, it doesn't, they're really small, they're small, and you don't feel it doesn't go in or anything. It's just kind of like, it's just like pressure, like, it's just pressure. Yeah, they're, not proper like needles.
I might try it.
Try it, honestly, it's powerful, really powerful.
And have you found, Jonny, because you've mentioned quite a few things and books, and so other people have put books in the chat and so on, and it occurs to me that what's going on there is that wisdom is guiding you in the moment. Like, wisdom from within, you're going, do you know what, I need something, I don't really know what it is, and it might be an acupressure mat or being in nature or whatever, but actually with the source of that is within you, saying, hey mate, you need a little bit of help here, and you're going a little bit off track or whatever, or hey girl, if it was to me. So it's coming from you, isn't it? And there are all these different things. There are hundreds and thousands of different things, and hundreds of thousands of different books and so on. And like Derrick said earlier, what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. But the inner guidance system always works. And the more we get to listen to that, or how it seems to me anyway, the more we get to tune into that, the more helpful the better we are, because we start to get a little bit more sensitive to what's going on inside of us, and that's the most important thing, isn't it? And your story really demonstrates that so powerfully. It's incredibly inspiring, and I can see that it's resonating with everybody, and just wonderful. It's just wonderful to hear how you're now sharing that with everybody else. So, wow.
I think, thank you. I think for me, like, because I was having a lot of like CBT, and it wasn't really, it was looking at my thoughts and thought patterns, but it was well, I think that book that I mentioned, Finding Peace in a Frantic World. Also, I listened to Mindfulness for Beginners. It's an audio book by John Kabat-Zinn. I listened to that as well, and then the CFT like really opened up things for me. Yeah, but I had to find my own journey, and often people do. They have to find their own journeys, don't they? Which is fine, but if someone is stuck and lost, and it can be, well, everyone's reachable, but sometimes what am I trying to say? Just that I think peer support, I think that is so key. I've realized that learning from each other maybe more so even than, you know, the professionals. And I know like peer support now is in so many schools, which is amazing. And like, so like the upper years in schools are doing workshops for the younger years in schools, which is great. And they're like buddying up, like the older to the younger. I think that's so powerful. Yeah, I think all schools should do that, not just schools, but yeah.
I love what you said there. Everyone's reachable. That's important. Pete, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay.
Just thanks, Jonny.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's maybe a good time to wrap up here, Jonny. I'd like to thank you very much indeed for coming on here, for sharing your story and speaking from your heart. I'd also like to thank everybody who chipped in, because there was beautiful wisdom, beautiful wisdom in the sharing. And just finally, anybody who listens in, who feels they're in a space of struggling, please reach out to be listened to, and just know that you're cared about. Bless you all, everybody. Bless you.
Wow.
Can I just say a couple of things?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just a couple of, so just on the note of like supporting each other. So I actually, every Monday actually, at 6:30, I go to a group online. It's called Humen, Humen. And it's men from like around the world actually, who basically just join a Zoom and are supporting each other and are sharing and listening, and just there's so much like support and wisdom in that group. Obviously, yeah, I didn't go tonight, but no, I don't mean like that. No, don't mean like that. But no, not at all. No, it's just a powerful, like it's another powerful sort of.
Yeah.
So particularly for men, as we know, men, you know, often find it difficult maybe to open up sometimes, but it's a powerful, yes, powerful tool. And then the other thing I was going to say is, you know, if you're working with young people, something that I always recommend is Shout. I don't know if people know Shout. It's a text, 24/7 text.
Yeah, we have that in school. Yeah,
you have it. Brilliant. I think it's brilliant because you know, young people, they've got so much pressure on their shoulders nowadays. Things like social media as well. Like, it's just always a safe space, 24/7, where you'll be met with someone that is there to listen and to, you know, just support. It's amazing.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. So can I quickly chip in as well? Quickly, I realized one thing, right? And it's the younger generation, right? They do most of these things for protection, right? And when I say protection, that's like self-care protection. And then they feel like these things are going to protect them. And I feel like just tackling that, just letting them know that they've got everything they need already. They don't need to add nothing. They don't need to take any, like they are the perfect them already. I feel like just spreading that message alone, because if I knew that at a young age, I don't know where I would be right now, but I think I would flourish in something I would have flourished. But I never knew that. I thought I've always had to do something to be something. I never knew I had it in me that whole time, just like you did, just like Mama J did, just like everybody on this call does. We've all had it that whole time. It just takes that little uncovering just to see a little bit of it, and then we know that potential. Then we can do mass things with it.
Beautiful. That is the beautiful place to end, Omar. Thank you. Thank you. Bless you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.